or you have military rule in Pakistan. It's more the Musharraf era, and there's a one-window operation. Um, Pakistan becomes the global ally, you know, in the war against terrorism. So it's a coalition partner. Literally, all rules and regulations are made by an executive order. So there's hardly any consensual opinion that's required. There's a parliament in there later on, but it's not considered to be a parliament that went down in history as a parliament, obviously. And then the cash inflow is pretty high. Yeah. And the agenda is clear, is to get rid of the Taliban government in Afghanistan and establish democratic rule as well as peace in the region. Move into the current times, the American withdrawal. They're literally undoing almost everything that was done almost 2 decades ago. So the Taliban are back. They're more palatable now. The cash outflow is immense. The entire region, as well as there's a global economic crunch, and Pakistan is caught in the midst of it as well. And then lastly, there is political turmoil in the country. It's not a military dictatorship. Under these circumstances, I think these two situations are almost uncomparable. I think the situation now is more tense and requires more deliberation than what we had in 2001. The success stories came from a process of learning from that experience. There was enough.
It took us almost 13 years,
Yeah.
right? From 2001 to
I mean,
2014.
till 2012, Pakistan did not even have a counter narrative to terrorism. There were people still in doubt. A lot of there was more to believe by the people from the militants than they actually believed in the state. And then in post-APS, you have this narrative that's building up. And that's your national narrative, what we call the National Action Plan. But to say that it will be relaunched again under these circumstances requires the same, requires everybody to be on the same page. And the same page is an often used cliche in Pakistan, where they say they might be on the same page but on different books. So I think that the situation now is very tense, and whatever is happening in this country requires consensus. So you have Imran Khan, whose government we initiated the peace talks. And you've got the statement from the National Security Commission as well, which doesn't only blame Afghanistan, it's Imran Khan, sorry. The statement from the National Security Commission says that this entire regime was to blame, which includes the security apparatus for empowering the TTP once again.
Wow. So basically, the current divisions within Pakistan's polity, the polarization, the lack of unity makes us particularly more vulnerable to TTP, and it emboldens them in some ways.